Goldman Sachs has just raised their gold target to $2,900 an ounce by early 2025. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Still Report and you'll always get best-in-class service from Patriots protecting Patriots. Patriot Gold Group has the No Fee for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver on qualifying rollovers. Call 888-869-9656 for a free investor guide today. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 7 years in a row. Call 888-869-9656. Right now, before I forget, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Good afternoon. I'm still reporting on the final days of the coup. Today we are interviewing Michele Morrow, a candidate for the North Carolina Superintendent of Schools. Here we are. This is my wife, Elizabeth Beth. Beth
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hammer, her maiden name was, and now she's Beth still.
Yeah.
She's the sister of Johnny Hammer, who runs the REN, the Rhino Times in Greensboro.
Oh, really? Oh, fascinating. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where are you from?
Well, I live in Cary right now. I grew up in upstate New York, but I came to North Carolina and I did high school in North Carolina. So
Okay.
I've been all over though. Yeah. But right now we're in Cary, outside of Raleigh.
Okay. So you came down when you were a teenager.
Yep. When I was 14, we moved down to Charlotte, and then I finished high school. I went to UNC Chapel Hill. That's where I got my nursing degree. Worked there for a few years in the ICU, and then went to Texas because a bunch of my friends had moved to Austin, Texas to work with InterVarsity Christian Fellowship at the University of Texas at Austin. So then I ended up moving out there, went on a mission trip, met my husband on the mission trip down in Mexico, and then we were missionaries in Mexico, and then we lived in Texas, then we lived in Colorado, and then we came here 10 years ago.
Came back. Well, let me ask you this. You are running for North Carolina Superintendent of Schools.
Yes.
Have you held any elected position prior?
No, the only position that I held was I was on the executive committee for the GOP, politically speaking.
Right.
A lot of grassroots groups, been the spokesperson, been a legislative liaison, ran for school board in 2022, but no, I have not been elected into a political position.
And other than running, what are you doing now? Are you working as a nurse now, or are you
right now I'm just running. I worked as a nurse for 32 years off and on, in between kids and whatnot. And then I actually taught because I have 5 kids, and at some point they were in public, private, and homeschool. So for 10 years, I actually taught in micro schools. I taught biology, chemistry, civics, and government and Spanish during those 10 years. And that's really how I got involved into kind of the education system, because I was hearing stories of people coming out. They were taking their kids out of school, and then they ended up in the homeschool micro schools. And so I started going to school board meetings and meeting with legislators and trying to get us back on track, because when I moved back to North Carolina, my husband and I 10 years ago, I thought, wow, Wake County, that's one of the best school systems in North Carolina. We'll just put our kids back in public school, and I'll be able to work and do whatever. And then we realized that first of all, they weren't getting a great education. The next thing was we were very worried about the worldview that was being pushed in the schools and in the curriculum, well as just a safety issue. So we just continued to homeschool. So my 4 oldest are gone. 2 of my oldest kids are married. One has our first granddaughter, and she's almost 5 months old. And my daughter is due for our second granddaughter in April. So the only one still at home is my 7th grader, who is going to a small Christian classical school.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
Yep.
So you have a lot of experience with education, both as an educator and also as a parent
I
of
do.
5
I
children.
do.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
and I'm just guessing that your experience with the North Carolina education system is why you decided to run for superintendent. They are really bashing you on the other side, but
They are. They are. And
like,
that's really, and I think I might have told Bill when I was on before, you know, the way that they have destroyed our nation, and I believe the biggest threat to our constitutional republic is the indoctrination happening in the public school system. And that's really why I'm doing this. I believe that as a Christian, every person is created in God's image and they have gifts and talents and skills that we are supposed to join with parents to figure out what those are so that every student can reach their fullest potential and they can take their place in the kingdom purposes in the community, and give back. And I've been very, it's a high calling. I think children are not being protected, and it is our duty as those people who fear God to rise up. When Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven belongs to such of these, and he also said that it's better for someone to be thrown into the sea with a millstone tied around their neck than to cause one of these little ones to stumble. And so the reality is we are causing our young ones to stumble because we are telling them lies about history, about biology and civics and economics, and we're paying to do that. And we're actually paying the price because they are not equipped to be healthy, successful adults. And so that's really why I'm running, because I think that in North Carolina, there is no excuse in 2024 that every student is not getting an excellent education, and that when we graduate our students from high school, it should mean something. They should have the life skills to be able to step into a future where they will be financially independent and they can pursue careers that are going to be rewarding to them. And so I want to get back to the basics of education, bring safety and discipline back to the schools, and make sure that every decision we make is focused on the students and not the system, the bureaucracy that has kind of taken over public education.
and
As a father of 4 children, all of whom were homeschooled, and I fought the homeschool battle in Virginia, you're a dream candidate.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm a nightmare to those that want to destroy our nation. And I think that that's why they are really, this has become an educational industrial complex. And it has become so politicized that they are very angry that I am exposing their failures, their inefficiencies, their ineffectiveness. And they are very upset about that because I do not answer to anyone besides Almighty God and the people of North Carolina. It's not about parties, and it's not about special interest groups and pet projects. This is about the students, the children of North Carolina.
and that powerful teachers union. That
Yes,
powerful. That
well, it's interesting about the teachers union that most people don't know that only 11% of teachers belong to the union in North Carolina. So they sound like they represent everyone, but they don't, because they have become a completely politicized organization. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you heard the national leader, Becky Pringle, back in July with the National Educators Association. She had a 28-minute speech, which she began by stating what a horrible danger President Trump is to democracy. Then she went on to chastise everyone who might support him as being dangerous. And then she proceeded to talk about how important it is that we protect abortion rights, the LGBTQ minority rights, and that we promote activism in our educators. In 28 minutes, I think she mentioned the word students once, and that it was nothing about safety, nothing about scholastics, nothing about career preparedness. It was all about activism and political entities. And so, and we're in a right to work state. We shouldn't even have a union, and they even call themselves a union, which is kind of crazy.
weird. People ask President Trump this all the time, and they ask other people. So assuming that you are elected, what are you going to do day one? That's the way they always say, what are you going to do day one? Well, day one, I'm going to figure out where the pencil sharpener is in my office. But,
Right.
but what is your number one top? This is my number one top goal to hit immediately.
Mine immediately. Well, so after the election on November 6th, I've already have people that I trust that are in place that have had decades of experience in education and leadership, even within the DPI itself, the SBE, who have the same intentions. And we have got to make our schools safe and bring discipline back to the classroom, because learning is not going to happen unless that happens. And so that's going to be my first priority. We have got to woo back the tens of thousands of teachers and students that have left the public school system, the majority of whom have left because they have been forced to push a worldview that they disagree with, or they've been silenced, or they have not been able to actually teach because there have been so many political and administrative strings that have kept them from actually doing what they're called to do in the classroom. So we're going to bring safety and discipline. We're going to have a code of conduct so that everyone is going to understand what is expected when you're in a school. And they're going to know what the consequences are. I think that's where we need to start. And then I'm going to have we're going to be doing an audit. We're starting with the DPI, with the central office staff of the 115 districts. And then we're also going to audit programs, because we have just done things because we've always done it this way. And I think that if we have a program that we are funding that cannot prove within the last 5 years that they have had success in helping our students with academic, character development, or career preparedness, that program needs to be on the chopping block. So we've got to see where we are. And we need to ask the people right now that are in those leadership positions, those administrative positions, what do you do and how does it directly impact the success of our students? And if they cannot explain that, then we need to look at why we have that position. The other thing that I really want to do is I want to build a bridge with teachers. We have got to go to the teachers, the boots on the ground staff that have left our school system, and say, what can we do to make you want to stay here for 30 years? What can we do to bring you back into the classroom? Because we have a very severe teacher shortage, and even a staff shortage. And so I think where we need to begin with that is going to the teachers that have left within the last 3 or 4 years and asking them, what can we do to create an atmosphere and a work environment that would make you excited to return? And so, so all of those things. But I think communication is going to be the bedrock of my administration. We have got to build bridges between the General Assembly and the State Board of Education and the DPI and the individual 115 districts. And I plan to do that within the 8 regions that our state is divided into, and really start having some great conversations about what they see as working well and what their top 3 issues are that we need to put in focus for the vision moving forward for improvement.
What is the public school budget in North Carolina?
It's about $17 billion when you look at everything from federal to state to local funding. It is more than 50% of our entire statewide budget.
Yeah.
And how are things going? What do your prospects look like?
What do you mean, for winning or?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I think we're going to win this. I think we're going to paint North Carolina red. I think that the great thing about education is when it has to do with children, it doesn't matter your race, religion, or your political bent. People are very concerned that our students are not, they're not safe, that there has been a dramatic increase in drug use, in depression, anxiety, and self-harm over the last 5 or 6 years. And they're worried that their kids are not prepared to enter into adulthood. with the skills that they need and the education that they need. So I think people are waking up and recognizing the importance of this race. I hope so.
Well, I think one of the biggest, I don't like to use the word fear, but one of the biggest concerns of a lot of parents is, and it's the same kind of the different side of the same coin, and that is boys being allowed to use girls' bathrooms and boys literally being allowed to play in girls' sports. And I have to admit ignorance on exactly what power the superintendent of schools has. But would you have the ability to address in any way those concerns that I know a lot of parents have
Yeah,
across the country?
absolutely. And I'll tell you, that's actually what I've spent the last 5 years doing. Just as a volunteer on my own time and my own dime, I have been going and meeting with legislators and committee hearings and trying to empower and educate the public so that they can stand up to remove boys from girls' sports, to pass that parental bill of rights, to stop the puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy and transgender surgeries for those under 18. I've been fighting for school choice. I've been fighting to get CRT and DEI out of our curriculum, and I will continue to do that. And as an advocate, I do have a good relationship with many of the legislators on the on the House and the Senate K through 12 committees. And I know that we have passed excellent laws. The problem is this, and we told them this 2 years ago when we met with 28 of them, that there are great laws for education to protect our children, but there are also loopholes in those laws. And if we can hold on to this supermajority and we can even strengthen it in this election, we need to go in there immediately in January and we need to take those loopholes out of those education laws and we need to put consequences into them. Because right now we do have a severe problem with the determination of whether or not the law is going to be obeyed very much hinges on who your school board is. There is much too much autonomy when it comes to the school board, whether they're going to obey laws or not. And so that is going to be one of the things that I am very laser focused on, to be honest with you. And it's going to mean, while the General Assembly does set the budget for each of the individual districts and determines how much state funding they are going to get, the DPI is the one who writes the check. So if a school district cannot show that they are in compliance and they have a plan to be able to protect our children, specifically our daughters and our granddaughters, in their private places as well as on their sports teams, then they are not going to get their check. And that is the only way that you can control things in this world that we're living in.
It's got to have teeth.
That's right.
Have a law if it doesn't have any teeth.
Yeah. And the other thing is the bully pulpit is a very powerful tool, and that is why I've been using the bully pulpit for the last 4 years, just from my living room or from making videos whenever I'm at an event or speaking somewhere. And it's because we have got to educate the people to know what they can do. So many parents feel so helpless because they go to the principal, they don't get the answer. They go to the school board, they don't get the answer. And really, up until now, they've gone to the superintendent and she's given them the same response. I've heard time and time again, well, we contacted the superintendent and she says she doesn't have the power. She doesn't do this. It's not in her hands. Well, you know what? As superintendent, I need to be a mediator. And if I can't do something specifically, I'm going to get with the people who can, and we're going to come up with a solution. It's not okay to just pass the buck. Our children are the ones that are suffering, and we need to ensure that they are the ones that are first and foremost in our minds with every decision that's made.
Right.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
You're a great candidate. We support you 100%. If there's anything we can do for you, we'd love to do it.
Is there anything that you would like to add before we
shut this down?
Yeah, shut this down.
I guess I'd just like to say, I really think that we are at a position where we can do something really great here in North Carolina. I think that we are ripe for change. I believe that we can take the greatest facets of what's happening here in our state and around the country, and we can make the school system, the public school system in North Carolina, the best in the country and an example for everybody else. I want to raise that bar. I think our students and our staff will meet those expectations when we expect excellence and discipline and collaboration in every one of our schools. I really want to make learning fun again. I want to make it be a place where the teachers and the students can't wait to get there in the morning. And I think that I know we have the manpower, we have the ideas, and we have the funding to be able to do it. It's just a matter of our priorities. And so I would just encourage everybody that if they are ready for change, if they're looking to get back to the education that we all enjoyed, as the majority of us went to public schools, and want to be able to trust that there's going to be hope and purpose within our classrooms and brought down to our children, then I would greatly appreciate people giving me the opportunity to do that here in North Carolina. And they can, if they want to know more about me, I'm actually having a town hall meeting tomorrow night, and that's going to be, I believe it's at 7 or 8. You'll have to go on my website. I can't remember. And you can submit your questions, and I've already done 2 before, and you can watch those even on my website. And my website is morrow4nc.com. And that's MORROW4nc.com.
Morrow4nc.com. So that's
right.
4nc.com.
I've got it. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
No, thank you for the invitation.
No, we look forward to interviewing you after the election.
That'll be good. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Michelle. Bye.